and the intelligent use of the various digital tools available. An example of this is our orchestra, philharmonic training and education programs, and the creation of digital tools, simulation computer programs, and video games applied for the symphonic music environment. We understand that virtualization, rather than a problem, is a great challenge and opportunity to create new communication tools with society and audiences in other cities and countries. In the field of music, if you remember, back in the 1930s, there was a deep fear of the emergence of recording, of the creation and acetate and vinyl as means of storage and music reproduction. There was a natural fear of the possibility of the absence of audiences in the live concerts, but it was the opportunity to create a new cultural industry and bring new opportunities in the music field. It's vital to understand the pandemic and the difficulties in the virtual world as a massive opportunity for transformation and the application of tools from psychology, neuroscience, technology, pedagogy, and the creation of new language that allow better communication with a new generation of young people and children who live in a digital world. The world of simulation, the world where, for example, video games are clearly understood as model of a multimedia artistic creation with significant insertion from science, technology, and other fields of knowledge. As for our orchestra, improving our broadcasting in terms of quality and variety of our concerts in digital media, expanding our offer with new services and ways of approaching the public, transforming and opening new stage around new musical repertoire, many of them of a folkloric, territorial, and ancestral nature. Associating with renowned musical artists from other settings, including reflection and constructions of artistic experience in the relationships between art and science. For example, music and brain, music and health, music and astronomy have been fundamental and highly successful strategies to achieve a close and affectionate relationship with both our new and regular audiences. I want to close this question quickly telling you how in our training programs such as our project Vamos a la Philharmonic, let's go to the Philharmonic, with 33 schools and 20 local Philharmonic centers in Bogota. It has been fundamental to transform teaching strategies, work methodologies, repertories, and the approach on which our programs have been working. As an example for this, given the impossibility of the live meetings to carry out instrumental music, it was necessary to return the programs toward vocal repertory, exploration for the body, creation, and exploration as part of the essential reflection for our students, our children in their own environments, limited by the confinement and isolation posed by the pandemic. Also involving families, fathers, and mothers as tutors in the training process, and the use of the game is a vital tool, an essential resource to achieve meaningful of close experience in a time where hope, optimism, and a positive outlook is crucial in the face of fear, fright, and anguish caused by the lethality and possibility of death posed by the pandemic. This has been a creative and significant commitment to live and hope, to supporting our country and our society and generating optimism in a time of such complexity. Those are some ideas about we are thinking about this problem.
Thank you very much, Edgar. It was very in-depth analysis of what happened last year, and I really like the expression massive opportunity. I think that it should be a leitmotif of our conversation today. But you also raise a very important thing, building bridges between us and the younger generation. And I guess that pandemic was a great chance for us to understand how they operate in the virtual world, and to discover platforms like TikTok, for example, which for me was a totally new word, I would say even. But that's good that we made this switch and we understood that it's important to understand them and also somehow adjust our methods to bring them to Philharmonics, to show all culture that we have online to them. I think that Sakina is again with us. we've lost her, then we have her. Yes, you are great. So can I ask you to tell us how you, in your opinion, we can stand out, how we can use this opportunity?
Exactly. So thanks for giving me floor to me. And I'm coming from the first question that how to build our online presence so that it offers at least a taste of real life meeting. I agree totally with you that the first time of COVID, when it started, our music industry had experienced the same challenges and difficulties like the other countries. And of course, and the people really need a good music taste. But it was first time, yes, there was a social media platforms that you already listed the names. There were the typical or the people just sitting from their, the musicians sitting from their home, they're making live performance. But of course, sometimes after months by months, it started to lose the real life meetings. That's why, to be honest, right now in Azerbaijan, we gradually started to organize already meetings of fans and musicians according to some regulations. It's, for example, entrance only by vaccinated people, or, for example, we already have done our Music Festival a month before Kara Bülbül in Shusha. It was with the social distance and with the vaccinate regulation. So already we have started to make real life meetings, but so far it's not for whole country. That's why there are very unique and creative alternatives. I would say one of them is going to the cultural heritage examples of Azerbaijan. For example, there are, I think I can list, because I speak with this group before I'm coming to this online session. For example, one of the electronic music group, it's so long. I don't want to share screen and take your time. I can send to chat their links.
Yes, you can give us links. That would be great.
Of course, now I'm sending. For example, they're going to the very famous cultural heritage examples of Azerbaijan, like in a very high place. For example, in a link that I'm sending to you, it's Chirag Kala. It's Chirag, it's mean light, because the tower looks like a light. They're going there and they're mixing, synergizing the cultural heritage potential with music potential. So that's why such type of online presence really gives the flavor, the taste of real life meetings. For example, one of them, another our pop musicians, Dihaj, she was making she has organized a yoga session, online yoga session, by giving chill music. The people were doing online yoga and listening to her live music from the we have an astronaut center in not far from Baku, the stars, Milky Way, yoga and music. Such type of presence, such type of
I would join you immediately. I would join you.
You're welcome, dear, because we are started already open the borders already with some of the countries, more than 10 countries. It's already under control, and hopefully in 2-3 months we all will go to each other without any problem like in previous days. So that's why such type of alternative and such type of creative approach really helped the people to taste the real life meetings. And the last but not least, one of the, and I will send this link to chat as well, we have a big white center made by Zuha Hadid. It's one of the symbols of our capital. The organizers made night in the museum, and the live music were accompanied by the virtual tour along the museum, and all night, 6 hours, the people were able to join and to listen, and it was showing the chronology of Azerbaijan music, starting from very first inhabitants, coming to the classic, to 21st century rock, pop, hip-hop music. So that's why with such type of alternatives, the musicians, I would say stars, would be able, and now they're continuing this, to touch to the heart of the fans, and they would really not miss that real life meetings. So this is one of
really wonderful.
Thank you very much. And the second question is about among the multitude of projects. That's all what I'm speaking about, that this is all our project. It's not just because there is a big teamwork in behind of this. And of course, it's not just, even if they are more complicated project than concerts, because concerts, it's a musician and you, but here, as you said, there is elements of cultural heritage, elements of the religion, for example, the Sufi music, for example, I say, like they are making rituals and parallelly, because Azerbaijan Sufi music is distinguished from Turkey, Central Asia, the rhythms and the formalizing history is different. That's why we have special reserves where it's coming from the first the middle Paleolithic and Mesolithic era, and people believe that there are special energies, and they were made a special project dedicated on Sufi project, and by playing on the rocks, they were making online trans live performance to the online people. And it really, I was one of the people who experienced it, and it really gives the taste of real life meeting. And I would like to go to the next one. The next one, a very sensitive tema. I agree with you. When the things are started to be online for musicians, and I know very good colleagues and friends who are really experiencing challenges to protect the content of their publishment of everything.
Sakina, that's the next question. I will come back to you if that's going to be the next one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Well, I think that you also raise a very important thing, that basically artists, musicians, and culture sector is always in risk, always under pressure, and maybe that's why we deal that good with that. It's set constatation, but still I think that our creativeness that really support us in difficult times. But I would like to ask Rafael, as a musician, basically, because we talked about how to work as an institution, as a festival, how to, create our projects online. But my question would be how to reach your audience when the only one way to reach them is online. It seems to be very difficult.
It is a very good question. I have been playing a few online concerts. Actually, I had a tour in Mexico in December 2020, and 10 days before when I had my ticket, the hotel, everything planned, the government closed the country and they did not allow concerts to be done. So I still flew because this wasn't one of the regions I was playing. In the other region, in Mexico City, I still could play with public. But in this place, in Mexicali, which is in the border next to the States, I had to play 3 concerts in the most beautiful venues with no audience. And you can't imagine how sad it is to be there.
Yeah.
To be there, all dressed, and no one is there, just a few people behind the camera. Okay, 3, 2, 1, live. And you go there playing for no one. There is no feedback. There is no applause. There is not the reward of the public. And it's really, really, we musicians need desperately the audience. We are making music. I believe that music is a communication between, we are the performers, we are bringing a message many times written by someone else, and then we are giving to the audience. And this process is creating a magic, an energy that we cannot describe it, but we feel it. We feel it. Yeah. That is why it's so magic, and it's so beautiful to attend to a classic music concert, and that's why it's so nice to be a musician, because you are part of this magic moment that is very difficult to describe and to define. So I am not sure. I understand that it is necessary, and definitely the new visual arts, the videos, the all these things are going to be very and need to be very useful for the artists. But as a musician, I cannot accept that I am going to become an online musician. I do not want. I need the audience, and perhaps what we have to think is, how are we going to make things to make an interrelationship with another arts, visual arts, performing arts, dance, video. So perhaps we have to think more than as a musician, but as an artist, cooperating with another musician, with another artist, so we can have our usual audience, but spread to someone else, to online audiences. But as an artist, I don't want to believe that we are going to be online musicians. And even if we have to think that in the future, we have to accept that this is going to be there, I don't want to be an online musician, and I need the audience close to us.
Oh, yes, I couldn't agree more. For me, all those experiences of online concerts are very difficult. Also, because of lack of applause that you've mentioned, it seems to be so unnatural that no one is clapping their hands in the middle, that you feel really, really very odd. But I guess that there is also another issue, the issue of not exposing yourself too much. For artists, these boundaries are super important. And if you became an online musician, if you go too much into social media presence, it might happen that your fans, they will really interrupt your regular life. And I guess that that's something that a lot of musicians during pandemic experience as well. They expose themselves too much, and it's not working as well. You need intimate contact, but this intimate contact should be offline, on-site contact, not online. Yeah, I agree. I see that Mehmet and Ahmad are with us, and I would also like them to maybe answer to our question if they can hear me. Our dynamic here seems to be quite in balance.
I can hear you. I'm looking for
perfect.
to make the comment. Ahmed Bey.
If he would like to, of course. I'm not forcing anyone. We have a very nice conversation, and I hope that he will join and say a few words as well. Okay, while waiting, and then we can jump into the previous question as well, I would like to ask Sakina to continue about publishing, protect the published material. So basically my question is, so many things is published now. Artists are publishing their concerts, publishers are publishing, which is their role, of course. Institutions, they share their content. So the question, very important question, is how we should protect this content that we placed online, and how should we take care of image of artists, of institution, and basically what should be the role of the institutions? Because of course, artists, they can take care of themselves, but institutions are responsible to protect it as well. So maybe Sakina, if you could go on.
Very shortly, because we are doing some project with our musician colleagues, and we already, the role of institution, I want to come here. There are, of course, the biggest world music companies, the production companies, who are taking care of such type of content, but during Corona, the online accessible content became more and more, and it became a little bit to control all of them. It became a little bit complicated, and of course, the musicians started to suffer of some of the behavior, or some abusing their moral property. So that's why here we have an institution that's taking care of the moral property of creative people, and the managers like we, so cultural managers, we are taking care of the content that's presented to us by musicians, or other creative people. The role of institution is very important, firstly, according to the internal regulations of the Republic. And yes, you need why I say that the managers, because this is a paper issue, and sometimes the creative people don't have enough time for such type of boring, let's say, procedures. That's why the people...
Or patience.
Exactly.
They don't have patience as well.
Exactly, because you really have to be in a very right legal, how to say, attitude to the content that you present. So that's why the managers like we are supporting such type of people, knowing that nowadays there's a big need for such support, legal and state support. And the institutions, we have, as I said, Moral Property Institution for Creative People. They are taking care of the content which is already presented to them in the required form. That's why the role of institutions are very important. Yes, your first time you get more energy on this, but it means that you and your moral property is on the safe side. So that's why it works to start in the right way. If you want to have some, don't waste your time, let's say, on this, but you have to be ready for any challenge or for any misunderstanding after you're publishing your content. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. It might be painful, fill all those documents and paperwork. No one likes it, but at the end, it might be crucial when you are trying to get some revenues, but also when you're trying to make sure that your status legal is correct. Edgar, any thoughts on that?
I believe that in the past, with the emergence of the printing press and the world of recording, it is essential to develop policies and new strategies for the protection of economic rights, copyrights, and regulations in the use of musical material for its circulation and management through the networks. The extension in the forms of protection regarding the opening and registration of musical material of the network requires urgent present and future work in the necessary regulations, strict surveillance, and the strengthening and updating of copyright policies. Therefore, the tools for regulating and monitoring must be strengthened and extended very quickly to new diffusion methods. For our part, as cultural institutions, it's essential to establish from the legal areas all the necessary mechanisms to protect the rights of the composers who require it, and to control in the best possible way to digital download for the various musical material broadcasted. The use of local and proprietary platforms, the digital restrictions in the forms and possibilities of downloading, the control of the material and the monitoring of it is possible uses are tools that the government and private institutions must implement to protect the copyright of musical works that require and demand it, both in their moral and economic aspects. Within that, all these are necessary in the new language and in this virtually system that require a very strict checking to protect the copyright.
Yeah, totally agree. We need to make sure that our legacy is correct and up to date also, because, we still have some regulations that came from the printed press era or CDs, which are now not that popular anymore, except Poland and Japan, where still we have 80% of physical market. Raphael, what do you think about protection of rights and how we should protect the content that is published?
Well, as a performer, I am not, normally I don't play my own music. It's something that normally we are aware, but it's the organizer of the concert, the one who have to be in charge of all this copyright thing. We understand and believe that it's very important. As a performers also have the rights, of course, of copyright.
And neighboring rights, there are rights that still belongs to you, and protecting them means that you will get revenue. Sorry.
But I really don't have an opinion. I don't know very well the copyright system, and I know it's very difficult. And it's also to find a balance between what you need for promotion, because sometimes if they don't know what you do, they're not going to hire you. So definitely the industry has changed since the internet era, and we have to think more in live concerts, or we used to have to think more in live concerts than in selling CDs. That all the artists had to change their mind. But now we are again in a new development, in a new era, and we have to reinvent ourselves. So definitely, I think that the governments, have to be very aware of that the intellectual copyrights are as valuable as any other kind of copyright, and they have to protect the rights of the creators, of the music creators.
Of course. Yeah, I agree. Mehmet, from URFA side, can we hear what you think about protection? Oh yeah, we have you. Good.
Especially the copyrights, there are two sides of it, because I used to be the Secretary General of Design Foundation. So there was the patenting and the design, copyrights. So this has like two sides. The first side the copyright should, especially in the music side, should protect the composers, the musicians. It should, give them the rights. But when the things, gets online and the digitalization, it makes it like more harder to protect. At the same time, other side of the copyrights, like if there will be always copyright, it may, hinder the creativity. There's also this question about the creativity. If there is always the copyright, how can I prove it? So especially in the cases of let's say, especially in the Turkish case, like when it goes to the judge or the other, they are like a little bit sarcastic, like about like, shall we protect the creator, or shall we make it like more open? So it's like, in my opinion, like 80%, it should be like the creator should be protected. They have to get, their right. Especially in these COVID times, we see that, as Rafael said, that, like he cannot hear the uploads, so he has to see it, it has to, protect him. Because if there will be like this crisis time, they should be like protected. But while they were protected, there should have been like a case of like overprotection, like especially like all the time creators. But there should be a way of like making it like more open and making it like more viable. Especially in terms of like Turkey, we have the issue about like knowing their rights. The musician doesn't really know their rights about the copyright. Mm-hmm. So that's why they are not really protected. So one of them maybe is, especially in URFA side, we are thinking to have like a kind of awareness raising campaign for the musicians, because they don't really know what's their rights. For example, yesterday we visited a musician. He had like 3,000 like different types of, newly produced like musics. And he didn't know like he had like right to protect it. So that's why it's like one of the parts that, and he was like in bad condition, especially financially, since because of the COVID times, and he was like 85 years old. So it's one of our like main mission, that we have to show them that they have the rights, and these rights are protected. And especially like even if it will be in the digital part, there should be a way to protect them. So that's why like we are somehow like in the creator side mostly.
I agree. They should be aware what their rights are, and then there's their choice if they want to protect that or not. From my experience, the worst case is with successors, not artists itself. So the artists are usually very open to share with other musicians and then recreate their work. But with successors, the thing is totally different, and usually it makes things a lot more complicated. But when we talk about content online and about publishing things and what happened last year, it's inevitable to talk about revenues and how we can make sure that publishing things online and sharing everything what we are doing will benefit for the sector. What we observe, at least first months of when pandemic has started, first few months, artists and creators, they were constantly sharing their music, their work for free. And of course, it was very generous. And thanks to that, we could survive this difficult time when we were locked at home and couldn't do anything more than watch movies, listen to the music or read books. Lovely times they were. But the thing is that could you please tell me from your perspective, do you think that the situation that we went online so much and that we published so many things will benefit for the sector in future, or it will work opposite? So because we shared almost everything for free, now it will be very hard to encourage people to pay for the cultural content online. Edgar, would you like to start?
Thank you, Tamara. From a perspective in a broad sense, opening free access to cultural practice and new forms of visibility, particularly in the virtual world, have had much more positive than adverse effects and positioned cultural institutions in new ways. In our case, as a symphony orchestra, the coverage, access, and impact in terms of audiences has grown almost exponentially, as hence allow us to reach new audiences, both locally, nationally, and internationally. Likewise, technological tools in production and diffusion have allowed us to expand our scope. Having both audiovisual and virtual material has facilitated access to new population groups and remote regions of the country. And in this case, for example, in Colombia, I believe that the phenomenon we are facing around the pandemic and the virtual environment has generated a necessary impact in terms of the globalization process that had been taking place since the 1990s, from the expansion of communication system and technological development in all areas, cyberculture, CAT, computer eye detection, internet, extranet, telematic tools, among others. It's essential to remember from the past how many of the new technologies and means of musical production were not well understood. Few imagined that the massification of recording products, the development of digital simulation systems, musical systems, and the development of sampling techniques will give way to new music industries and the possibility of finding new music production scenarios in general in music, and in particular in the context of music, symphonic or symphonic music. To keep on strengthening the capacity of our cultural entities in their quest for finding new forms of diffusion and practice in these new scenarios is vital to understand this phenomenon as a positive, natural, and necessary process in the context of the increasing closer world in terms of information. It's also crucial to strengthen the practice and techniques of symphonic music and its influence on developing an increasingly sensitive society and more in need of process that bring us closer to the very stance of humanism. Finally, simple say, I think is more positive than negative, and it's so important that we begin to think in other times of ways to construct the music, especially the symphonic music.
Very happy to hear that is more positive. And I agree that for many parts of the sector, it's definitely more beneficial to go online and present their work. Rafael, what is your opinion on that? Positive or negative? Or both, maybe?
Well, I'm not very sure what to say. Again, I mean, I'm not... I'm just a performer, I'm just a musician. I'm here representing Giria, but I don't have a proper opinion about this field. So I don't know.
But for you as a musician, publishing your content made it more visible for your audience. And do you feel that you gain new audience, or it's more like nothing has changed because only those who are listening to you, they...
As I was saying before, I mean, it is... if there is balance, the publishing of the content is always important because the visibility in the social network and on the internet, it is very important for us. If you are not now on the internet, you do not exist. Everyone has to be on the internet. But sometimes I'm not sure about, I mean, sometimes you go to YouTube, I'm looking for some concerts, and you go to amazing concerts with amazing performers with a few hundreds of views. And then you have all these other things that have thousands and millions of views. So what I mean is that it's not only about publishing things, but about how they are aimed to the audience. So I believe that the performers should whether learn a bit about all these things to improve, or have the proper advice or the proper partnerships with the companies that are doing these things. Because again, I mean, there are amazing musicians that are doing very good music, but they do not get it to the massive social network. And there are another contents that are not that artistically high, let's say. And they are, I mean, you have these silly TikTok thing that gets millions of reproductions.
Millions.
You have these amazing productions with musicians, first class, and there are only 100 views. So that's why I don't know whether it benefits you. I mean, definitely it's not bad for you, but sometimes it's not only
if you know how to work in it,
but how it is managed. That's
exactly. That seems to be crucial. How to manage that? How you think about your digital marketing as a process and full process with all those steps on the way. Mehmet, what is your opinion? Beneficial or not? Not really.
I mean, I agree with Rafael, especially like there can be a good side and a bad side. Maybe there are like art pieces, like you can see like really good performance, but not so many people like, like they may like not really good marketed, and they maybe not really good shot, as you said, that it's a kind of digital marketing thing, especially when you use the social media, you have to have like really nice shots, like had really nice, like recording and everything should be nice. Whatever music you are performing, it can be really nice, but for some people who are not really in the social media, and like especially with new generation, we are not sure like what do they really like. Sometimes they really like something like not really cool or not really good that for the creativity. It may disappoint some of the artists. It may disappoint some of the composers. It may disappoint people that you see. I just like made a really good art piece, but this art piece didn't really work in the social media since maybe it's not like compatible with the users.
Yeah.
On the other side, like this online, this digitalization helps to see like different cultures, different compositions, and it can reach so many people. For example, now we have like from five different countries. We can see really different kind of music, and it can be like a fusion. And this fusion can make, like simultaneate the creativity. So this is also a good part of it. So one part is like you may be not understand by the audience. The other side, you can be like you can reach like many people, and it can make it like a more like marketing way. But it has also another part, like instead of being an artist or like a composer, you started to be like let's say a social media influencer. So it's also another kind of like issue. Like the aim is not to be an artist or a composer, but the aim is to be like an influencer. So it's also another question. But totally, if you ask me, like 70% is like more beneficial. But 30% there's also this negative side.
I like the way that you present things with very clear percentage, and it's really very, in visual terms. I can tell that you're connected with design and visual things, so that's good for us to understand that really that there is a part of beneficial thing, but the other is not necessarily. Sakina, would you like to add something on that point? Yes, you would like to.
Yes, I agree with my colleagues as well. I mean, I don't need anything to add. So if there will be in the further moments, I will let you know. Thank you.
Great. Okay, I guess that we are running out of time. Sure, slowly but surely. And I think that I would like to maybe just summarize what we today say. And I feel that we raised so many subjects that it could be more than 10 new panels regarding what we talked about today. And pandemic will be definitely a subject of our discussions next month. But still, what we really understand is that we should act local, but actually act global, think local. So that's the most important thing. We should make sure that our local music scenes will be represented. We should think in a way that it's more like digital marketing, as we know that it works. And also what you've already mentioned, that it's hard to say what content will be liked by young people or any others, that we can have great performance who won't be anyhow noticed or acknowledged. I think that it's our role as institutions or as activists. We should make sure that festivals that are taking place, like this one, will show the content also to young people, which will be valuable and will just help them to maybe somehow shape their taste in music. And we'll also show them that some local things, that they are next door almost, musicians who lives like 2 blocks away from them, that they can be well known, recognizable, and they can create a great music. And also we should make sure that we won't think in a silos way, that we will see connections between arts, between other kind of arts, visual arts, also design and literature, and even yoga. So even if our physical health, which might be very useful for some people, especially working in a culture sector, stressed out all the time and working long hours. So I feel that we had a very good conversation also about how to protect artists and how to make sure that we will give them chance to protect themselves. And I would really love to thank you, Mehmet and Helen, for inviting me. It was a great pleasure also to meet my panelists. And I really hope that we will be able to meet soon somewhere, maybe in Urfa, maybe somewhere else. And my fingers are crossed for Urfa joining UNESCO's Creative Cities Network. We really hope that you will be our partners and we will be able to create some project in the meantime. I will also use this opportunity to invite you on an event that we have on Monday. It's Fête de la Musique Day. So we will celebrate, among other creative cities, a great marathon of music. We'll start at 12 at noon Central European summertime, and we will have 6 hours of music from around the world. So Lyria is participating as well. Bogota is participating, so please join us on YouTube. You can find more info on our website. Thank you very much, Helen and Mehmet. Again, it was a great pleasure to be here with you. And thank you, my great panelists.
Thank you, Tamara, and all the participants. And it's really a pleasure. Each participant of you is an added value for our initiatives. It is our first edition, and we are eager to develop it more with your participation and for next future projects. Thank you so much.
Hopefully. See you soon.
See you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.